A while back, I was on a flight from Barcelona to Montreal, and for those of you who aren't familiar, that flight takes about 10 hours to complete. Now, considering that it was gonna be a long flight, I did pack my pair of headphones with me on that journey. But just as I sat down on my flight and put on my headphones to enjoy some music while I took off, that's when I realized my headphones didn't work. And with a 10-hour flight ahead of me, I realized I only had one option. I had to use my AirPods Pro 2. But here's another problem. The AirPods Pro 2 are not designed for long flights over the Atlantic. These are supposed to last about 5.5 hours on a good day. But I wasn't gonna give up, and in my quest to try and get these earbuds to last as long as possible, I came up with 5 ways to extend the battery life of your AirPods Pro 2. The first way to extend the battery life of your AirPods if you're trying to fly with them is to not use them yet. You should really wait until you're in the air to start using up the battery of your AirPods. And the good news is that you shouldn't really have to wait long. It only takes about 25 to 30 minutes to get from your gate to cruising altitude in the air. Plus, the total flight time that they tell you over the intercom, that actually includes the time it takes to taxi from the gate, get to the runway, and get to cruising altitude. So if your total flight time is about 8 hours, 30 minutes, if you just hold off on using your AirPods, then you only need to try and extend the battery life for 8 hours. Now, is it nice listening to the sweet symphony of the airplane engines at full throttle? No, but it is better than having to listen to that sound for, 8 full hours in the air. So just wait, I promise it's worth it. Second tip for extending the battery life of your AirPods is to disable all non-essential features. Now, non-essential features include personalized volume, spatial audio, conversation awareness, automatic ear detection, and head gestures. And if you can spare it, you may want to turn off the hearing aid features, media assist, and even hearing protection if you can, just to preserve even more of the battery life of the AirPods. I don't know why I'm holding it like that. The truth is, the more features you can disable, the less your AirPods actually have to work, and the more battery life you are likely to have, and you'll be able to use them for longer, especially if you're on a long flight, like I was. Now, the third way to preserve the battery life of your AirPods, and this kind of hurts me as well, is to turn off noise control. That means no active noise cancellation, no transparency mode, and no adaptive mode. Those 3 listening modes all require additional processing, and if the name of the game here is battery life, then you've just got to turn it off. You'll have to enable turning noise control off in the settings app, and then you'll be able to actually go into the off mode for listening mode. Now, with noise control off, you will have to rely solely on the isolation performance of the AirPods Pro 2 or whatever AirPods model you have. But if you do have the AirPods Pro or AirPods Pro 2, one way you can kind of get better isolation results is by using memory foam ear tips like those from Comply. We found that memory foam tends to give a better seal and ensure a more secure fit, which in turn should result in slightly better isolation performance than if you were using the silicone ear tips that come with the AirPods. Now, when I had to do this, yeah, it sucked to turn off ANC mode. I could hear the airplane engines, but it didn't really sound that loud to me. And what was really good was I actually didn't have to crank the volume too loud in order to mask some of the airplane engine noise. It will be audible, I'm not gonna lie to you, but it was still really nice to hear my own music on top of the airplane engine noise, which was quieted a little bit by the isolation performance of these earbuds. Now you're probably wondering, Harley, does turning off the ANC on the AirPods actually give me more battery life? Well, the answer is yes, absolutely. I actually brought the AirPods Pro 2 back into our testing lab, and in the battery test, it showed that I got 45 minutes more of playtime with ANC off compared to with ANC on. I'll even put the times here on the bottom of the screen or something, so you can see. See, I'm not lying. Now, your actual playtime may be affected by factors such as the age of your own AirPods Pro, but it is certainly useful to be able to turn off noise control when battery life is not a luxury. Now, the fourth way you can extend the battery life of your AirPods is by lowering the volume. Now, the faster you drive a car, the more gas you consume, and if it's electric, well, the more battery you consume. The same goes for AirPods. The louder you listen, the more juice is taken from the battery. Now, if you find yourself in a position where your flight was shorter than mine, or maybe you just absolutely cannot turn off ANC, then at least lower the volume. That should help preserve some battery life. For best results, I recommend not going above 50% volume when trying to preserve battery life. And my fifth and final tip for extending the battery life of your AirPods or AirPods Pro is to give up. Truth be told, if your AirPods are old or your flight is just really, really long, you may just have to wave the white flag and put the earbuds back in the charging case and just rough it out for a bit. The good news is that the AirPods Pro 2 don't actually take too long to recharge. It only takes about 60 to 90 minutes to go from 0 to 100% battery in the earbuds, and just 5 minutes of charging will actually yield about an hour of playtime with the AirPods Pro 2, which is actually pretty good. In my case, during my flight from Barcelona to Montreal, my AirPods ended up dying about 2 hours before we were to land in Montreal, so I decided to basically take out my AirPods, put them back in the charging case, and I took a quick nap for about 20 minutes. But after 20 minutes, I was able to put the AirPods back on and I was able to listen for the rest of the flight. Now, if you're like me and your headphones also stopped working and you're looking to get a new pair of wireless headphones, then I highly recommend checking out our list for the best wireless headphones right here.